Hello, fellow travelers. How are you all doing?
Good morning. How are you? Who's here today? We have Jennifer, Olivia, Andrew, Scorpio, Sue, Nick, Hop, Michael Mon, Nick again, Mark Finley.
Nick, glad to hear everything's gone well, buddy.
Yeah, we're glad that you are on the mend or at least feeling pretty okay. Yes, Scorpio, Sue, it is ridiculously cold here, isn't it?
We got down to like 28 last night.
I had to bring my plants in. Well, the ones that I could bring in. You know, I thought that the 1st of May I could plant my vegetables. Apparently I was wrong.
Ronnie, glad you could be here for a little while, my friend.
Hi.
Oh, Christian, I'm sorry,
Hi,
buddy.
Christian.
Christian, we're going to send an email with you and our contact guys so you guys can figure out what's going on.
Yep.
Morning,
Peter in Connecticut. Hello. No snow here today. It didn't snow last night, but it could have here. Brigadier. He's breaking my legs to get to Daddy.
Climb.
Go on.
Go over
Kick
there.
it. That's too much.
Come over here. Come over here.
Go around.
Go around.
Go around. Come on. This way. Come on. Oh, when a 100-pound dog wants to be on Daddy's lap and not yours, and he just breaks your knees to get to Daddy.
Yes.
So, how's everybody? Oh, Andrew, it snowed where you are. That's crazy. Hello, Sloan.
How are you?
Welcome to your first live chat. Freezing. Yeah, we had a freeze warning here too, Olivia. It was, fruit. Yeah, I should have thrown towels over my cucumbers and squash.
Derek doing a little bit of housework there, patching and painting today. Very nice. I took down the Christmas tree ornaments last night, and the rest theoretically will go down today.
Actually up.
Hey,
we just have to pull the cover up.
Well, I have to take the top part off because that doesn't cover all of it.
No, it doesn't.
No.
I didn't know that. So, anyway, yeah. Okay. So, means to travel. Derek is doing housework. I know Mark Finley's got some kind of special something every day that he's been working on.
And I'm sure Terry is shaking her head every single day with all that stuff.
No, it means the less time for him to plan trip Q, because I think that's about where he's at.
Mache Tessier, get ready for the boys' senior pictures. Aww.
That's cool.
That's cool. Thomas and Savoy, good to see you.
Hello. Hi, mother-in-law. Happy Mother's Day tomorrow. It's weird not spending Mother's Day with...
You don't spend it with anybody because I'm
That's
always
right.
at
You're
work.
always doing your thing. But we do try to get to our moms, like,
around
the weekend.
this time.
Yeah.
MGH97, good morning. Good morning, everybody. So... didn't have too many questions sent out by our awesome superhero things. We've been talking about a lot of stuff. I thank you everybody for sharing all those posts on there that talk about what's life going to be like post-COVID and things like that. There was one that was shared about Italy, which is very good. It basically, what they were saying is like there'll be more cleaning things for the hotels. There'll be more of the regional trains, so less people will be on them. The Freccia, the fast trains, will be running about 50% capacity, and you have to have a reservation beforehand. So there's that going on. Restaurants and bars are still closed right now, but when they do open up, you will have the meter distance between everybody. So you're looking at a lot fewer people in the places. Also, the face masks are going to be required when you're going out. I think that's kind of a not necessarily a model, but I think that's kind of what's going to be happening in a lot of places. Maybe not Amtrak having more trains, but you're going to see the limitations and stuff like that. Because more and more we keep doing more research, more stuff comes out. Jocelyn found with IHG, but also IATA, what all countries are doing for their like their planes right now.
A 34-page list.
Yeah,
of what every single country in the world
is doing right now,
requiring at the moment.
Yeah, these things keep changing, so. Yeah. It's going to be crazy. Thomas, I'm glad you enjoyed our new Memphis video. For those who haven't watched it yet, please do check it out today. Give it a like and a share. I always appreciate it.
Liz, don't buy a really expensive stud finder. I find that they all work just about the same, and they're about 75% accurate. I find that tapping on the wall is usually the best way to go, and then double check it with your stud finder. Or double check the stud finder by tapping on the wall. Between those two things, you'll be pretty good.
Oh, Terry's still asleep. We were still asleep. Yeah, Mark was nice enough to text us like, "Hey, dude, we don't have the link right now. I've written you back because we got up about 8:30. And I'm like, oh, we have a live feed
I
today.
forgot
She's like,
that it was Saturday. Like, I just, you know what? I mean, the days are seriously running together. Yesterday, I thought it was Sunday. I don't know what I thought today was, but it definitely wasn't Saturday. I'm just...
I'd ask, is it like, is today Friday?
I don't know. And now the kids are finished with their schoolwork.
So they're up to the wee hours.
We really have no idea. Oh, yeah. And Mark and I watched... Have y'all seen Knives Out? We watched Knives Out last night. It's a pretty good movie. Good. I enjoyed it.
If you're a Father Brown mystery person.
Yeah. If you
or really... Angela Lansbury mystery person.
Yeah. I mean... Agatha Christie. I mean, it's a traditional whodunit. Anyway, I really enjoyed it.
Bag of teas, 21 degrees, 21 Celsius. That's like almost 70.
Oh, that's nice.
That's
21
that's like
about
perfect. Nice.
5 hours gardening. I need to get out and garden, but I don't want to go out in the cold.
I know, dude. That's what sucks. It's like, remember when this first started, we were all productive. At least I was productive like the first 2 weeks of this. Like, got the garage done, got the basement done, all kinds of stuff. And then it would kind of like everything grind to a halt. But then this week I got the house cleaned for someone's special day. The kids theoretically did the baseboards. They got some of them.
Mark vacuumed, Caleb mopped, I remopped.
Yeah, the boys use
the wrong stuff.
The boys have a very interesting way of doing it, but they do nice.
Oh, goodness.
Getting the tree done. No, so like now, yeah. So I started back up again trying to get our basement done. I got my office finally cleaned. So for the Professor Walters channel, since I have to film so much and it's kind of a pain to find locations that aren't super windy this time of the year where we live. So we're going to be doing probably some green screening, but for Professor Walters, not Walters World, Professor Walters, so I can knock a bunch of stuff out.
Hello, Jennifer Benzie's husband, and Elwood. Nice to see you, dear. Hop says, what are your feelings on the U.S.-Canada border, or when it will be open? I have a feeling that will be a border that opens sooner than some others. For us, I think. I
would imagine that you could probably get to Canada this summer. It'll be a lot easier to get a Canada trip in, or a better possibility of a Canada trip than a Europe trip for like European Union things. Now you are seeing things opening up. They're starting to let some tourists in places like, where is it? Peter.
Oh, in Georgia.
Peter was saying Georgia, the country is reopening foreign tourism. Do you think this will be a hard, especially for travelers who need to connect to get there? Yes, that's going to be the issue, is the connections and getting places. Like now you're going to look for, I went direct flights to wherever I can go. So Georgia will have a lot of European tourists that will be flying there and Central Asian tourists because they can go there. Whereas like for us, there's no direct flight to Georgia. To Tbilisi, I don't think there's a New York to Tbilisi flight. There might be, but I don't know.
I don't think there is.
It's gonna be a lot more complicated. And that's the thing. One of the things I was reading too is just it's like you're gonna have less connections. You're gonna have longer waits between connections. I mean that's why I ended up with the flight. That flight I had to cancel to Boston. They actually had the Atlanta to Boston part before the Bloomington to Atlanta flight. You're like, I can't do this. It's not physically possible. Like even their other systems are really messed up.
So yes, those of us who need to connect to places, it's probably going to be a little bit more of a jump. I mean, if you're living in Europe right now, it would be easier to get to places. But for us, it's going to be a little more difficult.
Hey, Elwood.
Hang on. So Liz and Derek, why did Derek put 10 holes in the wall last night? Why are you drilling holes in the wall? Like, why do you need to hit a stud? I need to ask that because there are a lot of things out there that hold tons and tons of weight without you having to get into a stud. And so that might be.
Is this one of Derek's Pinterest projects?
Maybe.
Let's see. Yes, the days will not run themselves. That's right. Excuse me.
Good morning, musings at midlife.
So Jennifer says, and thank you guys for advice on how to entertain my hubby for his birthday. Worked a treat. Awesome.
So glad. They're making a sequel of Knives Out. Same detective. The rest of the cast is different.
Well, Daniel Craig he's only got one Bond movie left. You got to work for the guy,
There you go. Derek says, let's not spread rumors at means to travel. Totally happened. That's funny. Hang on, there was a question down there, I think.
Eric says also every man put the stud finder on his chest and says, "Yep, works." Indeed. Brig, no. Brig, no. I still have Christmas ornaments on this table because the things we had to put them away was for like the smaller ornaments. So these are the big glass ones, and Brig's like sniffing around, like, "Oh, what can I get in there?" I'm like, "No, no, no."
Michael says, I feel like I am in the eye of the hurricane. My work really hasn't changed at all. Just have to get used to having my wife and daughter around all of the time. Yeah, I think Mark's work has doubled.
Yeah.
Mine probably has too.
Sit now.
But I can't get anything done around the house because I have these 3 little pigs and a dog running around making messes. So
yeah, I mean, we were all so. I mean,
it's hard.
It's hard. Like I was super productive, like exercise and work and filming and everything. And then once everything came home, it was like because it was like not just to have to film your live class, but then make the extra videos for the live classes, and then redo all the stuff. And then now we had a meeting this week at work, and they're like, "Yeah, prepare for at least part of your class to be online next semester." And so and how the restrictions are. I teach huge classes, like 300 some odd students each section, and so I know and those ones like my people can't tell me anything, but people that know people are like, oh, classes that size are definitely not going to happen. They're going to be online. So I'm like, great, I have to readjust all for 1,000 students, and so it's been a little stressful to say the least, and then also having to teach that new class all online.
And our children are home.
And the children are home.
It's just, it's hard, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
It seems like it should be easy when people say just stay home, but it's difficult,
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, sorry, what?
Somebody's having Tim Hortons. Ooh. Eric is having Tim Hortons, so it's like visiting Canada. I would say so. Nice. We don't have anything like that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew, you're right. So Andrew says it looks like the UK is planning to require 14-day quarantine. That is not the only country we've seen that, or group of countries. However that works. Can we say that? Anyway, they're not the only ones. And that really cuts out a lot of people. So what they're trying to say is, come on, our borders are open. But you know what? Don't come. Like that's they're just really trying to limit it to the amount of people who are able to come in, on top of the fact that 14-day quarantine is a thing. Dubai, I was seeing where they actually were blood testing people. That's a 10-minute blood test. And there's just, I have this giant list, and I haven't gone through all the countries in the world, but there are quite a few that are requiring tests or some kind of quarantine. And even if you take a test and you get a negative, you may still have to quarantine for 5 days. It's kind of interesting. So, and some you can self-quarantine, and others have like mandated quarantine and observation by their
they put an app on your phone
state-approved thing, and that, no, like in a space.
Oh.
Like they have, let's say, an apartment building, and this is where all the travelers come in, and they get to stay quarantined together, which, I don't know, that seems kind of crazy too, because if one person in that building is sick, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see
all crazy.
Just like in all this stuff, I think you'll eventually see some backlash and stuff like that, because you're still going to kill all the basically all it's going to, well, what it's going to do is you're going to promote domestic tourism, which is fine. So you can get enough stuff, but that means there's no new money coming to the economy. It's recycling. Yeah. So that's one of those things. MGH, I'm supposed to start my master's in architecture course late September, but it's going to be online for a few months. Yeah, I would imagine your first semester will be online.
And you know what? That's okay. Those first few classes in architecture, because architecture needs to be, in my opinion, a little bit more, and Michael Mon, please weigh in on this, a little more hands-on than certain other kinds of classes. But those first ones being online, it'll be okay. It's not awesome, definitely not optimal, but you'll make it.
Yeah. Let's see. I have all of my trombones hanging on the wall, using guitar hangers, and I don't trust sheetrock.
Understood. I have that big thing up there, and I've got a couple other really heavy pieces, and I have these special hooks, the ones that have the big curve in them, and those work really well. Like, they work really well.
Mr. Means to Travel, hanging a big shelf, 50 plus pounds. It's on an exterior wall that is a split block stone. Dang. Are you going to put anything on that? That sounds pretty heavy by itself. Yikes. I'll let Justin read that and think about it. Thomas Reiser, zero productivity. I've actually had to force myself to do stuff the last few days and actually getting things done. I went through, remade like 100 thumbnails for Professor Walter's channel. Actually made a real shocks video as opposed to like the little like random city videos. I thought I'd do that, though it's still not getting watched either. But at least it was like, let's put something real out. And then, one of the things is, I know we all have our projects, but are there any projects that you have like said, you know what, it's too much right now? Like I was going for a grant to do a study on face-to-face learning versus online learning, because I was scheduled to have two classes, the same class, but one's online and one's face-to-face, and I was going to study the differences there. But now that I know that I'm not going to have the face-to-face one when I'm doing the same thing, it's kind of like, well, there's no point in going for the grant because it's not going to happen because I don't have the class. So it's like, you know what? Can't do it.
All right. There are a couple questions here I want to answer. We're going to answer all of them. But Baggy T says, when preparing for a road trip, would you budget for it the same way you do if you were going abroad, or pay for things as you go each day? I have to say that we're probably, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we do an overall big picture kind of thing and know like the basic, this is the total amount we can spend on this trip. And then we don't worry about how much we spend every day, so long as like, you know, we're not getting close to that end area, right? Say that, just for argument's sake and ease of numbers, because I'm a bad math student, say we can spend $1,000. So as we spend, when we hit like 800, 700, that's when I start going, let's backpedal. Like, you know, like let's just reevaluate when we're eating and where we're eating. But generally speaking, for us, we've got the food stuff and how to save money on those things down so pat that I feel like we don't have to worry about it too much.
Yeah. Well, also, if you look at planning it out, because this summer you're going to need to probably plan it out more than usual because of limitations in terms of where you can go and stuff. I know for us, when we do our road trip once, it's kind of like we have the main destinations. If we know, like for example, we knew we were going through DC. We knew DC and Williamsburg, those are places you need to have the accommodation beforehand. So we actually booked those things before and had that kind of set. So it's like, okay, so we have like 4 days to get from Florida to DC. So where are we going to go? And so we kind of had like a lackadaisical, you know, approach. Went and saw some friends, did some stuff on our way up.
Cousin.
And your
Rob?
cousin. Yeah, but that was the days we had planned there. Getting up there,
right.
We did stuff. So that's kind of how we do it. And it's kind of, and then, so you have that.
Emily says,
kid-friendly day trips from St. Louis that would be safe for me and my daughter.
Okay, ages 1 and 2. That's what's throwing me. My husband is deployed, so we're exploring on our own. Emily, thank you and your entire family and your husband for
cheers to them.
Yeah, for serving our country. We appreciate it, and I know that it is. My sister's husband is, well, he's reserves now, but I know that you make a great sacrifice too, and so do your children. So thank you.
In terms of day trips.
So yes, in terms of day trips. So I've got to think about that a little bit. There, you know what? Gallivanting Gals just sent me something this weekend. We were talking about stuff, and it's a place in southern. I'm going to pull it out for you here. It is in southern Indiana. And
Christian Valdez, Tim Hortons is a Canadian like restaurant. It's like Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, but Canadianized, with that Canadian love. Though it's not as Canadian as it used to be, loving as it used to be, but it's still decent.
Okay, so Willstem Lodging, Willstem Animal Encounters. So like the animal stuff is stuff that you could do without having to like get really close to people, right? That's sort of, and they've got a bunch of activities and things. Willstem, Mark, can you, or I'll type it. And it is in southern Indiana.
Well, that's kind of far from St. Louis.
Is it?
Southern Indiana from, yes, they have to go across the entire state of Illinois at the bottom down there. Because you might as well look at some places like Springfield, Illinois. You can go see the Lincoln. Well, that if it's open, the Lincoln stuff.
All the Lincoln sites would be great.
But if they're open, you got to check that out.
Oh, the Katy Trail. You guys down there in St. Louis, the Katy Trail is a great thing to... I don't know how you bike with 2 kids unless you have a European type bike where you got a baby here and a baby behind. However, you can walk it, put them in the stroller, and just enjoy it that way. I've always biked the Katy Trail. There's a lot of good stuff, like down, is that 44, down like toward Washington and things like in that area that we used to do when we were kids. I have to think about what all we did down there. But nature-wise, there's a lot. Southern Illinois also has some really great parks and things that, I don't know, I'm just, all the things that come to my mind are things that are closed, like not Six Flags, but those type of things where, the zoo.
The zoos, and she knows that. She's there,
yeah,
but outside of there.
That's hard.
Yeah, because, I mean, I don't do it. You take your 1-2-year-old winery.
Yeah, I know. The wineries all popped into my head, too.
Yeah, that's kind of the tough thing. So, sorry we're not more helpful, Emily. We suck.
Yeah.
So Peter says, I'm a remote master's student at my college. It's nice being able to take basically any class I want this summer because everything is online. Yeah, that is helpful. That's what I've been telling my students. Like, look, take some stuff you wouldn't have really taken before because now that everything's online, especially, I mean, because that opens up some. Like, my class that I'm teaching with these Austrian students, originally only had like 20 students in it. Now it's open to 50. And they're like, hey, can you let some more students? I'm like, no. I can't grade that many projects because how my work works, if you have over 50 students, then you get to hire a TA, and I don't want to spend the money for our department because we don't have the money right now. I really said I want to spend that kind of money right now to hire someone to like help me for 4 weeks because there's just not the money. So it's like, no, I'm sorry. Usually I let more people in my classes, but this class is getting it's become, that's why it's taking so much time. It's just like, I'm like, and I know how the project's going to be. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a lot more
intense.
Work. It's intense.
It's a lot of work.
So,
especially remote now, it's just a lot. Oh, Liz says you guys are really good at balancing all this stuff. Thank you. That's sweet.
Yeah, we need to balance a little bit more with the kids than their things. This week, since it was our last week of school, we kind of were like, you know what, you guys are done. Have your stay up late, play your video games week. So Monday we start our new regime of going outside. It's just been so damn cold though. Like they can't even take the kids outside. Well, you can, but
they just don't want to be.
Yeah.
Yes, Jennifer, claustrophobic is sort of a way to describe it. Yesterday, Mark and I took a longer walk than usual with the dog, and I felt so much better just because it's been like, I don't know, I've been in a rush to get other stuff done. I've only been going around the block, and getting out a little further is a little bit better. So,
Nick, I hope they do have the game. I think they'll have the game will be on in November, but I don't know if there'll be people there. That's the thing is you're looking at it like the NBA had a conference call with their players saying, look, we'll eventually start up again, but there's not going to be players or there's not going to be fans. And without fans, which is 40% of our income, and we split the income 50-50, realize this is going to mean you're not going to get paid or you're going to get paid a lot less because the money's not going to be there. Everyone's contract's already guaranteed. So it's the salary cap's going to go down because there won't be any money and there's going to be a lot of impact on that. On all the sports. So if you have a team, you're like, oh, I want them to pick somebody up. They're probably not going to be able to.
You should talk to Jonathan about that in the NFL.
What do you want? What do you want?
All right.
Okay.
Nope.
He's all over the place.
Brigadier, buddy, what's up?
Wow, Mr. Means to Travel says a friend of ours in New York City just found out they won't be back to work in the office until 2020 or vaccine. See,
that seems insane.
That seems insane because the vaccines, I mean,
it's a virus.
It's 12 to 18 months at the earliest.
But getting vaccines for viruses isn't like nearly impossible.
I know, we still have anything for SARS, MERS. We don't have anything for those yet. I mean, you have treatments like you have with AIDS where people can live forever.
The treatments.
So that's what you need. It's more yeah.
Would you ever take your boys to a music festival when this is all over, like Sonar Festival?
Yeah, we would take them. Like Caleb's been to his first concert was
we've done
Margaritaville.
concerts. I don't know about festivals because those can get.
Oh, they're fine. You were just negative Nancy here.
I think I would take Caleb over or Liam over Caleb because Caleb's 13. There are just some things I don't want him to see yet. Not in person, you know.
Yeah, so my mom's saying when you're working on those projects, sometimes it helps to take a break and come back to it. Yeah, my problem was I kept taking breaks. And all I was doing was taking breaks, so that's why I busted out the last, 60 or 70 thumbnails yesterday for Professor Walter. So I'm like, no, just do it, be it done. It's like you got your list of like, not the honey-do list. Well, some of you have honey-do lists, like Mark Finley has a library that Terry has obviously put in front of him. And love you, buddy.
I don't know if Terry did that or Mark just made it on it. I think Mark might be a list guy like you.
I know, but it's more fun. It's more fun to like do that. Prig.
Those are my knees, buddy. I need them.
Oh, you just want everyone to see. Can you say hi? Say ruff, ruff, ruff. Anyway.
Look. Okay, out you go.
So he's also has an ear issue, so he's flapping his ears around more. Poor boy.
I need to clean them. All right. Well, I think it's probably because he got a bath and I probably got water in there and it's yucky. Kim is having to stay in her hotel room on all her Hawaii layovers. She works for an airline. Yeah, that's a little rough. I just wouldn't want to be stuck like that. Yeah,
and with the quarantine things, like the governor of Maine is saying anybody coming in has to quarantine for 14 days. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that actually, how that'll work. Because I know, like Illinois, we have our stuff. We have like five phases, and we're on phase 2. So it'll be interesting.
We have 5 phases for 4 regions.
Yeah, anyway. Let's not go there. Yeah, Tim Hortons isn't everywhere in the U.S. They did actually expand the U.S. for a while, then they pulled back because it wasn't going as well, which is sad. And if you ever go to Tim Hortons, their donuts are nice, but you get their Timbits, the little tiny donut holes. Those are really good. Slow Mama says they have them all over Ohio, but not many Dunkins. Yeah, we have Dunkin' here and Starbucks all over.
Dunkin' Donuts, don't go there after like 10:30, 11. They don't have donuts.
Yeah, like ours is just pathetic.
In the afternoon.
You're like we have the crappy bagel that no one likes with some nasty cheese. And the only people that come here now are people after school with their kids because the kids love like Asiago tomato and sugar bacon.
It's ridiculous. In general, would this virus put you off using taxis or Uber services during travel in the U.S.? No. And here's why. I mean, when you get in a taxi, you touch certain things, right? You touch the door handle, and that's about it. Especially like in Uber, there's less touch, right? You don't have to worry about using a card or paying cash or anything like that. So
that's what get every app you possibly can to pay for things beforehand, so it's out of the way, so you don't have to do anything. Like that's why even if it's the contactless one, you just have to get nearby and goes dee. You'll be better off that way. But sorry.
Yeah, but so you're really only touching 1 or 2 things, and you just gotta find hand sanitizer. I think that's going to be a big thing. I think people making their own hand sanitizer is going to be a big thing too.
Yeah, because we have not seen any hand sanitizer or wipes since like early March.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Not at all. All right.
Yeah, Philippe's right. Tim Hortons used to be good, but quality has gone down over the years. They're a better place for coffee here in Canada. Also, Krispy Kreme donuts are the best. And yes, this is 100% true. And Slow Mama agrees. Honestly, you get the traditional glaze Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, the original glaze is like the best. Although they have one that it's like original glaze, but it has a key lime pie filling this month. And I'm almost tempted to try one.
The 45-minute drive.
We'll get one. We'll
probably get arrested on the way there. Like, what are you doing outside of your county? Like, I need a Krispy Kreme. Oh, okay. I think the cops would understand.
I think they'd be cool.
I think the cops would understand. Scorpio Sue, as my voice cracks. So trying to go to Europe next year. Fingers crossed here too. My son loves marble statues. What museums, etc., would you recommend? Rome, Paris, or Amsterdam? So Amsterdam, you're not going to see too many of the marble kind of statues. For Rome, definitely do the Vatican Museum. You're going to see a ton there. Also, the what's the house?
Villa Borghese.
Villa Borghese. And Villa Borghese, even before all this, you had to have reservations for it, so you want to definitely get that.
And also with the Vatican, do the early morning one. They'll run you through stuff really fast. You'll get to the Sistine Chapel, and you'll see the ceiling. But then you're allowed to go back and revisit the other things.
Then they'll say, look, we're going to go into the church, and they say, because once you go to the church, you can't go back to the museum. So you can say, look, I don't want to do the church part. I'm fine. I want to stay in the museum longer. You can do that, but then you won't get like the tour of inside St. Peter's. But you can go in there later by yourself. But it's just one of those things. In Paris, the Rodin Museum in the gardens there, that was really cool.
The Rodin Museum, although, and also the Louvre has.
Oh yeah, Louvre has a huge collection.
Has a ton of sculpture too. So
yeah,
I'm trying to think. There's another smaller one in Paris. It's got a lot of sculpture.
I feel like there's a sculpture museum. Musée d'Orsay has its own sculpture garden, doesn't it? No, that's in the Louvre, isn't it?
Yep.
That's the sculpture garden of the Louvre.
But there is another one in Paris that's rather smaller and is that's like their thing is sculpture. I just can't think the name right now.
Yes, Kim, being stuck inside in Hawaii is like I think it's one of those. I think Dante had that in his levels of hell. It's like purgatory, but the next step down. So
Baggy T says, looking at Scotland for a road trip if we're allowed to travel within the UK. I would guess that the UK is going to open up to itself. And I tell you what.
Somebody's lucky, Baggy T.
Road tripping through Scotland is
Make sure you
awesome.
Post pictures so we all can live vicariously through you, by the way. Because I don't know if my stuck in Illinois road trips will be quite as cool.
I was pretty sad last night. I've been pretty good throughout all of this. But
last night was tough. When I was taking down the Christmas tree lights, I was putting on Christmas music and on the Christmas YouTube
parody,
thing.
Our 12 Days of
Our 12 Days. The first one came up. No, the second one came up, and I watched the first one a few times, and I watched all of them, and it was like, damn. And then of course it kept playing, and then it was like some of our other trips, and I'm like, this sucks. And Josh was like, I want to go back to Europe.
It was just really sad. I miss our friends. I miss that's such a part of our lives. I mean, we spend probably 3 months a year in Europe, and that's hard,
wait. Sorry, we got all kinds of. It did a jump for us. I know you guys are farther down. We're just trying to go through these one by one because we're here for you today. Even if we woke up a little late, I still have my just woken up redness.
Right.
Let's see.
So, all right, Tim Hortons conversation, Krispy Kreme.
So Josh Parks come to Kansas City for a road trip. So I was working on these shocks of Kansas City. And so the first shock I have is that it's mostly in Missouri, and I always felt people would be like, I was going to put that out like Super Bowl after they won, and then the president said his thing, and then everybody made a big thing. I'm like, I don't want to be anything near political with this. I made this video way before the Super Bowl, so I kind of put it off. So I've been putting that one together, and it was just taking forever because I was trying to find the right B-roll to put in. So I had this Memphis one. I just kind of swooped in and did the Memphis one for today. So, but the Don'ts of Kansas City it's on my big board in my office and in my thing to do. So the shocks of Kansas City are coming. And honestly, people, if you go to Kansas City, it is a really cool city. I really like it. Lots to see, a lot to do. Really good food. People are super nice. It's just a really long city, so you're going to spend a ton of cash on Ubers.
Uber.
Yeah, so heads up.
I am glad my mother-in-law agrees that Washmo is great. I used to live there, so.
Yeah, Mama talk about Metropolis in Southern Illinois. You can get down there because it's got a big statue of him there, and then there's like a museum. There's a comic book store that has the museum, and it says all kinds of toys you can get the kids, but it has all kinds of memorabilia from like the old 1940 serials to the late Batman versus Superman and stuff like that.
And your mom pointed out Quincy and Hannibal, so that is a good one. Hannibal,
Mark Twain,
the Mark Twain, all the Mark Twain stuff in the caves. It can be interesting for both of you, as long as the girls.
What that is?
Girls?
Yeah,
I don't know.
daughters,
both
1 and 2.
Girls.
Yeah, and they have little things with kids. I mean,
yeah, they've got some good stuff for kids. So.
And they kind of and that whole downtown area is kind of like off the side now.
Yeah, it's yeah, and the traffic's not real bad, so it's a little bit easier to navigate with kids. Well, and you know, Kansas City isn't that bad of a drive from St. Louis either, right? And there's tons of stuff to do there. The online only thing really sucks. Hoping fall won't have to be online because it'll be my last one. Yeah, it does, and I think that it's easier to do those first classes online, those introductory ones where you're just reading a lot. I think that those senior classes are the ones that are harder.
This is one thing I see in the future of higher education is because the cost because universities, one, they're a little pricey. I think I could see it one day where like your freshman year you actually don't bye Ronnie. Get those mosh pits started. Nice. Those intro courses, I can see it where freshmen actually don't come onto campus the first year. They just stay at home and they do the online stuff to get started to cut down costs. But the thing is since so many universities make money off of the housing and stuff like that, and that's in their budget. I mean, we had a conversation yesterday with our dean, and they're like, we're okay. We'll get our money because we have a lot of international students, and so they had an insurance policy if China couldn't come, and Chinese students can't come now, so they'll be okay. But the problem is it's the housing and those other things. Like, what do we do? Because south of here, you have Eastern Illinois, and remember, there's been this big boom of new dorms and new build. Like it's mostly new dorms because people like high school kids are choosing where to go to school based on the dorms and the food they're going to have at the dorms because the Instagram kind of stuff, which is funny because most kids only live in the dorms like 1 year. So it's interesting that they're making that choice on there. So that's why you've seen a big boom in all these like new finagled, things. Like I lived in the same dorm my dad did when we went to college. Okay, the 6-pack in Illinois, and so they're seeing that look, the students aren't there, so you have all these empty buildings. What do we do? And like Eastern Illinois, they almost went out of business a few years ago. They built this new like a multi, like 10-story, 20. I don't know how tall it was. Dorm. They had to like shutter it because there was wasn't enough people. So you're gonna have all these things. But I mean, I could see where eventually this is where that kind of goes. It's like, oh well, if you don't want to come your freshman year and save the money, so. Yeah.
Jennifer understands that music festivals are rather cheeky. That is the perfect word to describe it. And Jennifer is sick of her Verity, her daughter got really sick, and she's sick of the four walls. We get that, and playing Monopoly over and over again with a 5-year-old is hard. You know what? I have found quite a few recently just farting around on Amazon. I found a lot of really inexpensive games, like $10 and under card games and different things like that. I know that, again, it's games and you're kind of like, but you might be able to find some fun ones like that. Oh, that blockhead one is always fun because it's different every time. You just stack funky little blocks and stuff. That and Jenga and
Liam likes Trouble and Sorry. More Trouble than Sorry. Yeah. So you find something, even little kids sometimes get bored with things. Who knew?
So, but you know what? There are a lot of museums and even like outdoor spaces. Like I know the Kuchenhof is doing stuff. There are online, tours all over the place. So check some of those out. At 5, she might be able to like really get into some of those things. All right.
So Michael Mon saying Minnesota is actually a new hotspot. A lot of people here have not been taking this seriously.
Well, Minnesota's always been a cool spot.
Bum. So Mark Finley wants us to know Terry hasn't asked me to do anything, but she's appreciative of all the improvements. It's all the stuff that I put in the someday if I have time list, and funny enough, I have time now. Yeah, that like I have like a 4-page list of all the stuff I need to do for like my websites and YouTube and social media and the house and all kinds of stuff, and it's like, let's just try to start getting to it. And it's weird because I'm actually like I'm like, oh, I've actually knocked off of quite a few things. And it's weird is like Jocelyn, this sounds weird, Jocelyn went through all the DVDs. So we had DVDs all over the house, and she went and got a couple new cases and put them all together. It's those little things
and
like
I sort
that.
of organized them. Like generally speaking, like the preschool ones, we've got a lot of those. But like
I see a gift to Oliver.
I know. I think my nephew is getting a whole bunch of DVDs.
Leapfrog forever.
There's just like we had a lot of DVDs. A lot of them are like those $2 ones from Walmart, but they kept our kids happy. So all right.
Let's see. Bath and Body Works online had hand sanitizer. Oh, that's cool.
Ooh, I'm gonna go look at that.
Yeah, because we're getting. We have. I think we have like 2 little things at Purell left.
Hang on.
Oh, Olivia has this nice. This is, and Olivia, I think you've sent this before. One of our local distilleries are actually making hand sanitizer. It's been fantastic. You can get a gallon of it, which you don't really need, but is a steal. Yeah, I've seen that on quite a few places, which is awesome.
Gin and vodka distilleries and stuff. Yeah.
And speaking of which, of the new processes, one of our local breweries here, who my students have worked with. For those who were on Wednesday, I was drinking their beer, and I told my students like 2 years ago when they were working with them, like, you got to tell them they need to can this, because long term you're not going to be able to just make it on the draft beer stuff. And they're like, no, we want just draft. And I'm like, and so now they finally started canning so they can stay in business. I'm like, there you go. So you got because also for these breweries, it's probably like, look, the distillery, like, people are buying lots of alcohol, but this is probably much more profitable and it's helping out the community.
Liz says regarding their friend in New York, she lives in a studio in New York City, and she's leaving her lease and moving back to Chicago until at least 2021 now to be closer to family and friends. I think this will happen more. I wouldn't be surprised if people start going to their smaller hometowns. I would not be surprised if there is some small exodus from big cities, because pandemics concentrate in places with high population density. I mean, how many of our friends, have moved from Quincy or wherever, and they're in larger cities? I could see.
And actually, this has been in like Wall Street Journal, some other places I've been reading this about this too. They're like, we think this could be something like cities will still be popular for young people because there's so much on offer, and also for older people because it has the services they need. But in the middle, that's why you see a lot of people go out to the burbs and stuff like that when they've got kids and things like that. And here's the thing is, now that you have all this remote learning, I mean, why spend $2,000 a month for a studio apartment in New York when even in Chicago for $2,000, I mean, you can get at least one bedroom.
You can have a bedroom instead of
where we are, you could have, that for that, you could have, a 5-bedroom house, and that's the thing is, where my parents live in Quincy, I think it was the early 90s, it got voted one of the best places to retire. So there's this big influx of people from New York that retired there. Like, we had neighbors across the street, neighbor next door, neighbor a few doors down. They all moved, New York, Chicago, because we sold our house there, and now we go from like a 3-bedroom house to like or 2-bedroom house to like a 4-bedroom house, and I got my retirement money too. And so you'll see people kind of doing that, because now, especially if your job's not going to go back face to face, like right now, if all my classes are going to be online, now we're discussing, do we just homeschool the kids, and then we go someplace and we have the 2 weeks, of quarantine, and well, that's just me, not Jocelyn.
No, I'm not. Listen, but I don't want to move to like Australia permanently, but I could go for 6 months.
Yeah. Or whatever, and that's what you're going to see is what are the options you have. That's why the digital nomad people, like, I understand why they do it, because going to Bali, I mean, you can live like a king but earn money like a pauper for U.S. standards versus theirs. So
So all right,
Nick Barnett's Nick. I'm glad there's not. Yeah, I would be even worse off if there was a Krispy Kreme here in where we live.
Good morning, Carlos.
Oh, Carlos is here. What's up, buddy?
In my house in Savannah, I could go to the end of the driveway. I've probably told you all this before, and I could just poke my head like this, and I could see whether or not the hot now sign was on at Krispy Kreme. I mean, it was like not half a mile, maybe half a mile.
Yeah. Yes, Nick, barbecue in KC is legit. There was a question here I lost.
Yes,
just jumped
Christian,
on us.
I'm glad that you got to see. Hang on, sorry, ADD just kicked in. I'm glad that you liked the Memphis video, and I hope that it helps you in your move.
And I won't lie to you. Knowing that you were moving there did not well, might have influenced a little bit of putting that one out. So I had something. I also have a don'ts one, but I also, my buddy who lives down there, who I was talking about in there, I wrote him like, I'll be holding down. I'll probably have to have you have a drink with us. Maybe when you go down, there'll be music playing. We can hear you play.
That would be cool.
We can get drunk and start making it rain on you while you're playing.
Thomas says he saw some hand sanitizer in Savoy at the Schnucks.
No,
so.
I think he was talking about Krispy Kreme.
Oh.
Thomas, are you talking about a hand sanitizer or Krispy Kreme? Because I know Schnucks has Krispy Kreme in the back, but those prepackaged ones are not
They're
the
not
same.
the same.
But, yeah, I might actually go... Because I think Schnucks is getting a lot less. Because Schnucks is always... Okay, for those who know, Schnucks is a grocery store in the Midwest based out of St. Louis. Usually a little bit higher priced one. The thing is, if you go there and buy only their stuff they have on sale, they are like amazing deals. But everything else is like stupid expensive. But they have a good liquor section. They have a very good wine section.
All right, so Philippe is ready to drive 2 hours to Krispy Kreme.
Heck yeah.
Oh, Thomas is saying it was made by a brewery in Missouri. So are you saying that the Riggs beer was canned there? How does that work? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, no, he's talking about... It was a hand sanitizer, I think he's talking about.
Oh, okay.
Context. We all lose our context. Nick Peterson, close one to me is near Des Moines.
Yeah.
Check to make sure it's clear. Gotcha. Krispy Kreme, yep. See, you got to find those right things. Krispy Kreme. All I know is, so I was taking the train. Where was I? I was taking the train, back to Heathrow, I think. And they had a Krispy Kreme. No, where was I going? I was in London, and they had a Krispy Kreme right at the station, because there's Krispy Kreme in London, but it's like the ones at the airport where it's just there. You're like, okay, you're not making it here, but I can still eat it. So there's one like right there. I was like, oh my god, this is Krispy Kreme. It was when I came in last year, because we don't have one right here. So
no. Jennifer says we've been told another 3 weeks here in Scotland for lockdown, but we can still visit the hills for us, or maybe that's because they're local.
Yeah. I would guess it's because.
So is there no stuff between like England, Wales, and Scotland?
No, it's all one country.
But I mean, she said here in Scotland.
Well, because how we have here in Illinois versus here in Missouri versus here in California.
I'm just wondering if Scotland's like, you know what, right now you guys hang out over there across your line.
I don't know. I do not know.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, Lamar's Donuts. Heck yeah, in Kansas City. So I went to Lamar's when I was there. They have some good stuff. And Christian, Gibson Donuts is right across the street from Gus's Fried Chicken, one of their spots. You can go have both, like have the Gus's and then fried chicken and eat and be so happy, and then walk across the street, go to Gibson's Donuts for dessert. Their maple bake. Oh my god, it's so good. They are legit. Like some of these, like we have a donut place here where it kind of works like Duck Donuts in the Outer Banks, where it's more places, but like you see them make it there in front of you. It's good, but I'm like, you guys, it's like, look, all the fancy stuff on top means nothing if you can't make a good donut itself. The actual donut itself.
The toppings don't count.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, like, if I have to eat it like my kid eats a cupcake where they only eat the top, you're not doing a good job on your donuts. And hi, Sherry.
Hi, Marie.
Oh, Marie, hey.
Yep.
I almost forgot. It's okay. So did we, Marie. We slept until like 8:35.
Kansas City barbecue is legit, and you know what? You know what I could go for? Some brisket. That sounds really good. I wonder if Po' Boys is open.
So, I think so. So Paul Tipton, yes, Paul says on a few YouTube channels I've watched, not just travel but other subjects, I've noticed someone called Logan popping up regularly in comments asking for it to be friends. Just wonder if it's a troll. It is a troll. There's actually a joke among YouTubers right now because that same logo will show up. It's been Tom. It's been Logan. It's been Tom 2. There's a bunch of them. It's got like a...
It's got the same logo.
Same logo and stuff like that. And what pisses me off...
I got one of those.
Is YouTube will like ban all kinds of other stuff. But somehow this one... And I've gone on multiple channels too. And it's like random like... How is this not getting nailed right away when it's obvious?
Uh-huh.
So and it's not even because like YouTube will give me, they're like, oh, here's comments, here's helpful review, here's likely spam. No, it just goes straight in there. It's like, I wonder if this is some like conspiracy theory, like some YouTube person just doing it for the heck of it for shits and giggles. Who knows? So means to travel. Are your students' summer internships going online? Some are. Quite a few students have contacted me and said that their internships got canceled. So I have a few of my students that haven't had something like, look, if you can't find something, I will find work for you. And so I might hire them for like some summer work just to give them some money. And it's like the students that were like, I was like, damn, you are awesome. Like there's one guy in particular, I'm not hoping, but I'm like, if it doesn't work out, man, I will hire you as a freelancer because he does some really good stuff. Because his group projects, like they did not like he won. I do a competition every year at my school. He and his team won it the first year we did it, and they probably won the second year, but he didn't participate. And it was just a good dude. Good dude.
Yeah, everybody's sort of talking about how hard it is to just do things without face to face. And there's all this discussion about, well, companies are going to see that they don't have to do things. They don't have to send their employees across the world to have meetings, etc. But it may be doable, but I don't know that it's as productive as being a person face to face.
Especially, how many times have you talked about Zoom fatigue? Like people, and so like if you're, it's like when the U.S. used to go negotiate with the Soviet Union back in the day. They'd you have this long flight, and they'd get in, and they knew that everyone would be tired, and so they'd start the negotiations right away. There's no resting. We'll talk tomorrow. It's like, no, we're starting right away because they knew everyone was tired, and it wasn't going to work very well for them. So they get. I mean, you're not going to work your best doing everything on Zoom. Now, sometimes you have to do it, but I think that's another thing is, and also Zoom itself. Like we had that with work. I don't like Zoom. Honestly, I prefer these live things here because YouTube live stuff I just think works better and has less snafus.
I like Skype better than Zoom because you can have a conversation without. There's something in the audio with Zoom.
Yeah, it's always delayed a little bit.
Well, I feel like you can't say anything at the same time without it just.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like a.
Yeah, Skype works more like a phone call, and Zoom's more like slightly offset conversations mixing together.
It's more computerized.
Like in Blink, the Doctor Who episode, where they introduced the Weeping Angels, where he recorded this whole conversation on that. So.
Yes, right? That I get that. For all you Doctor Who fans on here.
Let's see.
All right. Oh, Riskopoly.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard of anything like that, Derek. Put Risk and Monopoly together. Oh, that would cause a fight in our house.
Yeah, I'm not.
Caleb would be.
So Caleb and Liam used to play Risk quite a bit, and they used to play chess quite a bit too.
Well, they've played chess quite a few actually.
Oh, they actually took the chess set downstairs. They've been playing.
Yeah, they've been playing chess a little bit on this. And then Mom watches because chess was never a thing when I was a kid. And I'm like, the what is going the where? Like, how many spots can that one move? What? Like, how do you remember all this?
So Jennifer, Trouble, they have it on Amazon. Trouble's, you have like 4 pieces, and you have to go around and bring all your pieces back to home. And it's one of those the kids love it because you pop it and the dice is in the popper. The gun, so you don't lose it. And so you go around, and so if you land on, they have to go back and start again. And so you try to get it all around. So we play that with Liam. Like my dad plays it with him.
So Simon.
Oh, Simon,
Caleb got Liam Simon for his birthday, like the old school Simon that we all had when we were kids. That's a great one for them to do on their own and have a little something to do. So, and it, gets their synapses firing.
Oh, so Sherry Rogers is nice here. Watched an interview with Rick Steves last night and think it's super cool that he's paying his employees out of pocket to keep them employed and prepare for the future. Yeah, I think, and this is the thing, it's like a lot of these tour agencies are getting slaughtered, and this whole quarantine that's going to happen afterwards for people to travel, it's going to be tough because when you're a guide, most of the time people hire guides, they're from out of town or out of the country, and now you're going to have more locals going, and most locals like, oh, I know this place enough, I don't need a guide, and so that's going to really hurt their business. That's really nice.
Guides are going to suffer. Well, yeah.
Like, we have guide companies that just like they just fold it. They're like, there's no point.
It's tough, and well. So, like for instance, this place that we went in Rwanda, the Guerrilla Guardians village.
Sorry.
The village actually. So when we tourists go to the village and learn all this really cool stuff.
Bye, Michael.
See you, Michael. When we go to that, it supports not just the people working there at that little village that's like a recreated. It's not even all recreated, but. The whole surrounding area is held up, and they pay the water. They have one tap for like this larger area, and they're not able to pay their water bill. So because nobody's coming in, and their goal was just to pay for their water bill for the year, like through December 2020, and they've done that plus like $500-$600, which is awesome.
That's awesome.
But like, you know, I hate the idea that guides and stuff are going out of business, but then there are these remote sort of places where you're literally
the entire village depends on it.
The village depends on it, and there's so many of those in second and third world countries.
Yeah, when I was in the Patron in Brazil, it's like a whole community is based around the tourists that come in and want to do tours and the thing. And so it's, I mean, the place I went to Patron, like their whole, it's not a village, it's like settlements. Their whole settlement is based on that, everyone's job. And so that's...
I mean, can you imagine you can't get clean water simply because of this? And now we need clean water more than ever, right? Like, that one's really hard. Why were you laughing so hard?
Eric, wow, dang it, where'd he go? Eric was saying moving out there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it means to travel $2,000 per month. You barely even get a studio. I thought you got like a closet for
with
$2,000.
A toilet.
Yeah. Yeah. So Nick was saying his parents are up in Saratoga in upstate New York, and they've really seen an uptick. Yeah, that's what I did. I retired from the state of Chicago the first day I could and moved downstate. Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Oh, God, you worked for the city of Chicago. Bless your heart. That must have been trying times.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, you know, like some people, like, we try to bring a professor to the University of Illinois, and they're like, oh, there's nothing there. I'm like, there's enough here. And they're like, and like, there's one person in particular, like, we were going out of our way to get this person to come. And she said, no, she ended up going to the University of Southern California. And like, and you know, the salaries for public employees are out there. So we saw what she made. And I'm like, you got paid the same as here. And you're going to go from probably be able to have like a 4 or 5 bedroom house to like
she
a 1 bedroom house.
3,000 square feet, and she's maybe getting 900 down in Southern California. Yeah. I mean, that's a huge difference. And her husband was like a musician, maybe?
No, her husband worked for Dairy Queen.
Oh, why did I think he was a musician?
I don't know.
Oh.
Because he wanted to go. He together.
Anyway.
Yes, Paul. I did. Memphis is a fun place.
Memphis
for like 3 days.
Great.
You have a good time.
Yeah. Oh, and Christian, you're gonna love it. You're gonna just really enjoy it. I know it's big and scary, and it's a completely different region for you, but you're gonna enjoy it. I promise.
So, musing at midlife, we have plenty of toilet paper, sanitizer, liquid, not wipes, etc., but running out of some standard grocery staples. I think it's going to all be in a wave. The supply chain changes focus. Yeah, and that's the thing. As I was reading articles, it's like, you know, what you're going to see going forward is you might not see like shortages. You might see extreme higher prices in certain goods or limited availability. Like if you want to get a freezer, you're looking July, August before you can get one because they're sold out. And then it's like if they come, and so you're going to see those supply chain issues. So it's kind of interesting. The article's like, oh, there's like sheets, and if you need to get clothes, because remember this come from China and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're good with your clothes,
made in China are going to be more difficult to get, partially because
the price.
Well, the price is going to go up because of shipping, one, and several other things. But two, you have to remember that Wuhan that's where a lot of medicines are made. There's a ton of factories and things in that area, so that was shut down for 2 months, right? I mean, that's going to create a bubble with, you know, or a hole, more than a bubble, I guess, right?
Yeah, so there's a lot of Kansas City stuff on here. Yes, there are some people from Kansas City that are on the chat to talk about it. If looking at Philippe's stuff, a road trip from Chicago to Kansas City or Indianapolis, look, you can it's only like 2 hours, 3 hours from Chicago down to Indianapolis, and Kansas City is a lot longer drive. So if you're looking at the length of drive, Indianapolis is a lot easier to do. They both have a lot of, like, they're both are really nice, you know, cities in the Midwest to go see. You're bringing fire with either of them. I do think that Kansas City has a bit more to offer than Indianapolis. But for your road trip stuff, I mean, you could do both because we're stuck here.
But there's a really good Peruvian restaurant in Indianapolis.
Yeah, at least there was.
Where are the gals? I'm surprised not to see them this morning.
Well, they got lives. They're in Indianapolis. They're probably out doing indie stuff.
Stuff, right?
I wrote Melinda. So.
Let's
Let's see.
I love that we've just had this huge conversation about donuts. It's like,
Yes,
it's
yes,
so much
Nick.
fun talking
Yes.
to y'all. Like, it's
I know.
just great.
That's why I wish we could have like 2 feeds. Like we need to have like a live feed, like what your thing is going by, like what you guys see over there, and then there's ours where you slow down to watch. So you can pick out some things like when you see people are leaving, and then we find it later. I'm like, no, I didn't say bye to Michael.
Kim, if you don't like Krispy Kreme because they're too sweet, here's the trick. Because I had a friend in Savannah who didn't like the sugar bit. So she would get them, and if they're warm, just hush your mouth. Because the reason I love Krispy Kreme is because they're so light and fluffy, and the textures.
Like a little bit of a crisp on there.
But
we need to stop
if you get them when they're hot now, you can take the napkin and wipe off a bunch of the glaze, and then, or you can ask for them not glazed. I don't know that would work or not, but she would just wipe all the stuff off and eat it then, and it's actually pretty
good. Karen?
Good.
Sounds like Karen.
It does sound like something Karen would do, doesn't it? Anyway, all right.
Yes, Josh, it is a good time to be a Chiefs fan. Mr. Means to Travel. We got our first troll on Thursday, live stream milestone. Yay!
You've made it!
You made it. The floodgates are open. Joy.
Watch out. Oh, and Liz, please know that we women get much worse trolls than the boys. So, yeah.
It sucks. So Paul Tipton, donut shop near me is called Planet Donut. It's just a small shop. Hopefully it's good. Because like where we live, all the donut places suck. I mean, people are like, oh, these are good. I'm like, no, they all are pretty crap. You know, they're like, oh, and it's funny. One of my colleagues, she's like, honestly, the best glazed donuts in town are actually at Walmart. And she's right. Like when I go buy donuts for my students, I go out to Walmart and get the glazed stuff from them because it's actually the best glaze that we have in Champaign. Which is sad. Also, super affordable versus the like $6 for one donut kind of stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not paying that much for a donut. Peter uses WebEx. Yeah, WebEx. We used to have that at work too, but they gone all zoomy.
Yeah, and Thomas is right. They are having some security problems and stuff with Zoom. You know, when everybody jumps on a bandwagon, I just assume that anything you say or do on that bandwagon is going to be known by everyone and monitored by everyone and, you know, like put into a cloud. And I don't know, like nothing we do is ever going to be private ever again, I feel like. So Jennifer Richard died. Oh my gosh. Oh, that sucks.
And Roy from Siegfried and Roy died last night.
No way.
Yeah, it was a complication from COVID.
You're kidding.
Yeah. So Jennifer, have you guys seen a British family doing their edition of Les Mis? One day more, but quarantine mix. It's impressive. I saw a little bit of it because there's like one of those highlight things, but I haven't seen the whole thing, so I'll have to check it out. Yes, Eric, we all need to take Zoomcations. I'm done with Zoom for now. I had my last Zoom thing for work. Unfortunately, I have this week to prepare for my things, and then because like some things I like to do on YouTube Live, but I know because I need to talk to my students for at least for a few classes, I'm gonna have to do Zoom to get all the students together, which sucks. But yeah.
Nick Barnett says that he needs to remember to play chess and also backgammon. I haven't played backgammon since I was little. You know what else I miss is Othello.
Oh, we used to have that.
We do not?
No. Well, maybe it's not. I have to look.
We do not?
We used to play that, and it's funny. Like we had that. Remember?
When did we play Othello? That must have been some other girl, honey.
No, I played it on my phone, and then that was one of the games we would play. And then I played it with Liam and Caleb, or I played with Caleb. No, we haven't because you don't play with me because you beat me in all games. You feel bad for me, so you just don't. Anyway.
Trivial Pursuit. You have like never lost Trivial Pursuit.
We haven't played Trivial Pursuit in 10 years.
Okay.
Because I lost.
I'm just gonna do this.
Careful, it's temperamental today. Our light is not standing up. It keeps falling over. I love when you get like the Amazon recommends. You're like, dude, it needs it tight. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got it.
It's.
Sometimes if you turn the screw the wrong way and then tighten it again, it'll work better.
Let's see. Battleship. Yeah. So MGH loves Battleship. We have the travel version of it, and Liam was playing it forever, and then he kicked it over, and all the little pegs went everywhere. So now all we have are white pegs and no red ones.
No, I found them.
Oh, you found the red ones?
I did.
Nice.
I put them in I don't know, a Ziploc.
Oh, trouble's called frustration here. Oh, yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Hi, Tom. Welcome.
Yeah, Jen, if you don't have the professional version of Zoom, it does kick you out if you have over 3 people after 40 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, take time. Let's see. That's pretty funny. Guess you have to dress up and play Guess Who by having guess what they're wearing. That's awesome.
That's cool.
Let's see.
I'd like to buy
a Far magazine at the airport when I travel. I love the magazine, but it's independent, so I'm worried about it during this time. I'm going to see if Whole Foods has it to try to support it. Yeah, and that's the thing is right now you're trying to figure out like because everyone's hurting, and it's kind of like well where you have to be particular where your money goes. Like our favorite Mexican place, I was really worried because they were talking about going out of business in May anyway, and moving, and so I was worried. So when I saw they're open for Cinco de Mayo, I was like, oh my god, they're still open. This is awesome. And it's interesting because I talked to them and they're like, yeah, business has been good. And I'm wondering, like, for businesses that are doing takeaway, that things are going well, I don't know. It's kind of like, hey, Darian, I'm just wondering, like, for some of these, is this helping them to control those costs as for those family-run businesses? I don't know. It's really a tough one. 30 years of a librarian with Chicago Public Library. That's a cool job.
That's not like, I thought you were like working in City Hall, which would be like one of those things that made me pull my hair out. City Hall anywhere, but particularly Chicago would be difficult.
We can just pretend we are at a European grocery store. Yes, that's true. We can.
So, I'm doing these foodie things. I posted about it in the Superheroes Facebook page. And I'm going to make pimento cheese today. And I think I'm going to do the tiramisu today also. I got to get off the sweets, though, because then I have to eat them. But I was having a craving for Greek coffee, so that went with the tiramisu, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, but there are some things that are a little bit difficult for me to cook because, well, you can't get exactly the right things. You just got to get the closest you can.
Hey gals, welcome. Will you watch? Were you watching Nick? Nick does a good job. Nick Dimon, he does the good stuff with tuber tools and stuff like that. Sherry Rogers, my plan B is the summer go up to New England and perhaps go back if the border open. We'll see. If it's late summer, maybe. I know Maine, they want to quarantine people when they come in, but that's what the governor wants. What actually happens is not always the same. Tom loves Central Barbecue. Central is good. Everyone in Memphis has their own, like, which one they think's the best, just like everywhere. You'll do well. Yes, Eric, the Children's Museum in Massachusetts is really, really good.
But I have a feeling children's museums are not going to be open for a minute. I think that'll be a thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? That really stinks, too, because I've worked for a children's museum. I've been on the board of another children's museum. And, well, I helped develop one. It wasn't open when I worked for
Morning,
them.
Carmen.
And then I was on the board for another. And quite frankly, the one that I was on the board for, I bet it won't reopen. I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
Unless they're really big, like the one in Indy will probably be able to make it through, but smaller children's museums they're gonna get hit really hard.
Yeah. So Mark Finley wants Darian to know. He says hi, but Darian's driving, so Darian should not write back. We'll just know that Darian is saying hi back to you, Mark, to be safe.
And he has speech to text. And also, go dogs.
What happened with Elwood?
Anybody else want to do that? What do you mean? What happened with Elwood?
Oh, Little Richard died. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Where are we at again?
So Nick's done 3 Zooms this week. It's great so far. But eventually when you get like 3 back to back, it's like when you watch your computer screen too long. It's just eventually it gets you the Zoom fatigue.
The finger crucifix.
Galvin Gals, you may have one more Zoom next week. That's true. We might have 2. Who knows?
There you go.
That's funny. I forgot about that, gals. Thank you.
Cheers to my Ireland flight that was never meant to be. It's like I should have been on my MSP to Dublin flight tomorrow. You know what though? It'll happen one day, right?
We just jumped and froze. Hold on. Are we still there?
I don't know. Somebody was saying something about...
We're still there. Okay.
Port Royal is an addictive card game, but not for kids. Oh.
clam roll donuts. Nice.
Nick is drinking Greek coffee right this minute.
He's taunting you. He's taunting you.
Well, and here's the thing. I can't even get Greek coffee. I have to get Lavazza, which is my favorite Italian coffee. I get the espresso ground and I make it in my Briki. So that works. It's not the same, but it's acceptable. All right. You end up playing it until the wee hours of the morning and drinking whiskey, and then the kids get up. Jennifer. All right, we need to find Port Royal and see what that's all about. Although our kids are up all night too. So.
Yeah. So Eric Brown, I hear about a lot of big chain restaurants are on the border of closing down. I think a lot of businesses are on the border of closing down. I mean that's why you things opening up. Because one thing is it's opening up.
What am I in the middle seat?
But I knew you were going to say that.
He's stealing my armrest as if though
I'm
in the middle. I always get stuck in the middle between Mark and or Caleb or Liam. Or
and I lean into the aisle to keep my fatness over there so you can have the armrest. And then you put the armrest up and you lay on me and I hold you while you can.
That happens sometimes.
You're welcome.
That does happen sometimes, and I do like.
Explain what Greek coffee is to Kim, please.
Greek coffee. So Greek coffee is a really fine ground coffee. You make it in this tiny little pot. You'll put like 1 to 2 teaspoons of coffee grounds in, and then however much sugar you want, and then like a 1/4 cup to like 1/2 cup maybe of, not 1/2 cup, that's too much, of water. And you just kind of let it cook slowly. It'll kind of froth at the top. And then once it's froth, you kind of give it a little stir, let it come back to a froth again, and then pour it into like a, like an espresso, a demi-tasse cup. And a lot of the grounds go into the bottom. So when you drink it, when you're getting low, stop. Because there was one time I was a little tipsy. We were at a Greek restaurant in Chicago. How many bottles of wine? I think we had 2 bottles of wine at dinner. It was like one of those long, leisurely. It was one of our few weekends that we were
there
without
for our
kids.
YouTube thing.
So I ordered the coffee, and the guy goes, "You know how to drink this, right?" And I'm like, "Of course I do. I'm Greek." And so I'm sipping and then not paying any attention, and I get some of the grounds, and it makes you regurgitate, not like throw up, but like it's so fine. It's like getting this powder. It's just, it'll make you choke. Like you'll absolutely choke, and it's insane. So don't do that. But Greek coffee is really strong, and it's just got this wonderful flavor that you can't get elsewhere.
So Sue, I've been to places like those in Rome. Best pizza, but I'm a big diavola. I like the spicy pepperoni, but I always get mozzarella di bufala. Get buffalo mozzarella on your pizza when you can, because it is phenomenal. I've not been to the Stairway of Heaven in Northern Ireland, MGH. I've been to the Giant's Causeway, but I haven't been there. That was part of our plan for our Northern Ireland trip for in the fall, if we get to go.
Cross our fingers.
Yes.
You know what sucks is we were going to let Caleb bring his best friend on that trip. And now with all this COVID stuff, I don't know that that's going to happen.
Yeah. So Marie McInnes, she's waiting for the videos. We will have those. It's just a lot of editing right now. Purdue, Indy, too big to fail. That's right. It's too good.
I think the Indy Children's Museum, because we were talking about that. Yeah. Gallivanting Gals, anyone else have a challenge with defaulting to top chat and you end up missing some comments? Yes,
all the time.
That happens constantly. Unless you get on right at the beginning of something, I feel like that happens a lot. Because often I'll watch things and I'm just not commenting. I should comment more. But it's because I'm like in and out. I don't sit for very long. So, yeah.
So the gals were on the Endless Adventures Patreon stream. That's nice. I like them. They're a cute couple, and I like what they do. They're very positive. So
yeah, we like the positive people.
I like for the younger crowd. The only 2 like younger ones I pay attention to these days: Endless Adventure and Flying the Nest. And Flying the Nest, they have a baby on the way, and they just bought a house, so they're there. I know Endless Adventure, they've started making some cooking stuff because they're kind of stuck at home now. So, like we all are.
Yes, Carmen, I'm doing some food videos. Carmen, are you on the Superheroes of Walter's World Facebook page?
Oh yeah, if you're not on the Superheroes on Facebook page, if you're on Patreon, send me a message on Patreon with your email, because I have to have Facebook send you an invite that way.
Your Facebook email.
Your Facebook email
that you use for Facebook.
For that. And then for those of you that do that are on a members one, it's waltersworld@gmail.com. But you could just comment on our, like, hey, we got a thing coming up, and I'll send it to you that way, so you can send me your email. So we have that.
Yeah.
When's the lamb video coming? When I get it edited.
Have you sent it? Are you sending that to
that
the
one,
guys?
well, okay, so for those guys, I have to, like, the one you did yesterday, Brigadeiro, I could send that to them, they could do that. But the lamb one, since it was like we filmed 3 different
back and forth
foods, it's tough to.
Sorry.
Because you have to explain to them exactly, like, that's what I'm saying. Just edit one video, you'll understand.
Okay.
Yeah,
from
Kim's
now on, it's just going to be one type of food at a time instead of a meal.
Yeah, the meal stuff, it's like, oh my gosh. So let's see.
Oh, Nick says, if you drink a Greek coffee in a Greek village, save the grounds at the bottom of the cup, and you can find a little old Greek lady to tell your fortune through it. So true. And it's funny. They'll sit and they'll look at them, and then they might turn them a little bit. I've seen some swirl them, which I think is unusual, because then it messes up how they are. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of like women reading tea leaves. It's kind of cute.
So Carmen says, I'm itching to start planning my vacation for next year. Me too. We do 1 2 to 3 week vacation a year in the first quarter. Should I plan in the States to be safe? I feel like Americans will be blacklisted for a while. I think Americans will have a little bit more tough because we have higher numbers. But here's the thing: is our numbers based on percentages of entire population is still better than a lot of places. But they can say it's like you can't compare Austria to the U.S. because they have 10 million and we have 350 million. So it's a weird thing. But I would, for anyone planning a vacation, this is one of the things, is I'm putting together the don'ts of post-COVID as well. So we're going to have a video on the flying stuff, and then the hotel one, and then our usual don'ts videos about that. Because I think, like, I want to have one, because there's so much information. I can't do one video because it'd be like 900 minutes long. But I think the don'ts, when I can do like a top 10 don'ts for the post thing. And that's one of the things. It's like, don't plan a one trip. Be flexible. Like, Mark Finley is prepared. He's got 74 trips planned for every eventuality, and that's what you're gonna have to do.
That's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have plan A through Z. I mean, and I really think that he does have like 5 or 6 actually.
5 or 6 per day, because he's a good man.
It's that crazy. Yes, Nick, I can get Greek coffee in Chicago and Greektown. We just none of the import stores here in town have it. We don't have a very big Greek population.
We're getting a new Finley family member. No, Terry isn't pregnant. Charlene, who is Mark's mom.
Oh wow!
Is supposed to be popping on here in a little while.
We've got the
so
whole
when you
family.
see her pop on, let's all say hi.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh, Carmen is on Facebook and Patreon. The problem is I don't go on those platforms often. I'm usually on YouTube and Instagram. Yeah, and that's the thing. You can't. There's not really private groups. Like Instagram makes it a little bit tougher for those things. But I'm glad at least they're on there occasionally. But you'll see the YouTube on our community tab. We'll put because you're a member, it'll pop up on there, our announcements and stuff like that.
Sherry Rogers, we've been watching your videos almost daily, so there's that.
Thank you.
So there's that. He's got a few little catchphrases that he does, and it makes me laugh. And I say M.
Yeah, and all I know is I was watching my video because I don't watch my videos too much, like because I edit them and put them together. It's like, okay, and so last night I was going through. I'm like, wow, I really do say so. There's that a lot, and I know I say quintessential, like especially in Europe, quintessential in South America came up a lot. I've tried to cut down on that one.
So when you are there, you are here,
yeah, I do emphasize
that.
And Ottawa, Canada.
Canada.
Oh, when we were in Canada one time filming, we were joking so much about the Canadian joke that I kept messing up in the videos. Like,
and he'd say Canada because I don't know why.
I think it was a South Park thing.
It must have been. I don't know. It was something crazy. So yeah. Clue is always one of my favorite board games. I did too. That was fun. Oh, Beef Burgundy. Beef Bourguignon. That's one of my favorites. I'm there. Let's see.
Okay, so Eric, we should we should have suggestions for a do's or don'ts, superheroes of travel, do's of packing, or some location. Yeah, I think, and that's the thing. What's nice about the group is you guys can all share these things within there, and we can have those conversations and add stuff in there. So it's really nice. Oh, Mom's on.
Charlene's
Hi.
here.
Welcome, welcome.
We're glad to have you.
Awesome. Andrew has a backup domestic Canada trip planned in case my UK Belgium October thing gets canceled. Good.
My allergies are starting up, y'all. Can you see? My whole face is itching, like my eyes, my nose.
So Sue asked us, how far in advance do you all book your overseas flights and hotels, Airbnb for best places? So we're a bit different because we plan out where we're going to film and stuff like that. So we plan out like up to 10 months in advance when you can buy tickets. If we're going to be going someplace that's really popular, like a Paris or going to be somewhere where there's a festival going on, we book as soon as we can. Otherwise, we might push it back to hotels a few weeks or a month out if it's not really super busy.
Fierce Mice, hello. I love doing the planning, so being forced to plan more trips is not so bad for me.
Yeah, I started planning again, especially after last night when I'm like, oh, where are we gonna go?
Last night was really hard. My heart hurt. Like I have kind of avoided a lot of our videos and things. Just I'll watch it, or I'll have it on and I just kind of listen to it. But then when I'm watching it and I'm seeing all the things I miss, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to move back. Kathy Walters, don't get mad at me for saying that.
Oh, she'll still just come visit.
I know she'll just come visit, right?
So the blooper reels, there's not as many there are some blooper reels, but now I've kind of just left a lot of them in the videos because it like.
Or they're at the end, they'll be like an outtakes kind of thing. One, the best one was the one of the two of us in Paris.
There's some other ones.
That was funny.
You love that one.
I just love that.
Because there's a lot of times I mess up. Like, that's why sometimes I need to, like, just, like, hey, because sometimes it's like I just have somebody, like, oh, I got to remember to do this. So the problem is that I've cut so many things down now. It's like going back to find the original mess ups. I got to remember when there were good mess. I should probably make notes in my thing. Good mess. So, Carmen, I get 3 paychecks in May due to bi-weekly pay schedule. So this is when we start buying things, usually the plane ticket. Grateful to getting paid, but working more than ever. Yeah, I'm there with you. It's exhausting with all the extra work and everything. But yeah, it's like when you have the financial capabilities, that's why I tell people, like, look, buy tickets when you can afford it, when it's a price you think is right, or when you can't afford it. Because you can't afford it, doesn't matter how cheap it is, you still can't afford it. So you got to be careful with that.
There's also a couple different things where they give you like notifications. If you say, I want to go to Edinburgh from St. Louis, and I don't want to spend more than $700. Then when it gets to like $700, they'll send you an alert. When you get that alert, then find the airline that it's with and go directly to that airline and get it. Because when you buy through the airline directly, you'll have more recompense if something should go wrong.
Yeah, and I know Expedia is doing a really nice job now getting people their money back, but
they're not always that way.
Yeah, and those third-party things aren't always that way. So that's why it's better to have that. Because I can say, hey, look, I bought it from you, Delta. Because otherwise, a lot of times, it's for the hotels.com and TripAdvisor. If you go to the Hyatt or whatever, like, you bought that through them, you have to deal with them, not us. Because we sold our thing to them, not to you. And so there are some issues. I was at a Hyatt a few years ago. A conference got canceled, and I was already in Chicago. And I walked up, like, yeah, can I do something to, like, cancel this? Because I've got 4 nights. And I'm only going to be here one night now because it got canceled. And the first thing she says, like, look, did you buy it through Hyatt.com or did you go through a third party? Because if you're third party, there's nothing we can do. But if you bought through Hyatt, we can't do something. So I'm like, yeah, I bought it through Hyatt.com, got my money back. I mean, it was like that night. It was already back on my credit card, too.
So Philippe wants to know, where did your catchphrase, so there's that, come from?
I think it's just the thing, like when people go,
I think it's a Midwestern thing.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's another thing around here people say, to wear.
Yeah.
To where WHERE, to where this happens.
Like my mom. To where will you move back to, as my mom asked.
That is not what she is saying, but it's
probably Europe somewhere. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. I wouldn't mind finding a place in Vicenza, just because we have so many friends there and stuff.
And I think that it's kind of like where our travels do now. It's like we always try to make sure we get friends in there. It's kind of like it would be nice to move someplace new, but if like we go to Paris, we know enough people there that we could do something. Vicenza in Italy, because you have that. There's a university nearby. I mean, it's kind of interesting. It's like what the plans are, what we can do. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so Kim likes the video of the kids roughhousing at Stonehenge. Yeah, I need to put together. I mean, because
Our kids do that a lot.
Yeah,
They're a little embarrassing.
Well, I try to do some of the bloopers or silly things. I'll try to put that in the video and part of the B-roll randomly, not in the beginning, but more towards the end, because I know like our subscribers, they watch longer than random people, so it's kind of like a gift for people that watch longer.
Tom said I was thinking about mowing, but now it's snowing, and you're a poet.
Yeah, I was right, because honestly, if we would have had, oh yeah, our leaves are dead out there. Oh man, you can like the trees outside. I'm looking at our tree's almost dead, but across the way you can really see the leaves are like.
Yeah, they look a little sad.
Yeah.
Yes. The gallivanting gals. Where did that question just go? Do people say seen instead of saw? Drives me crazy. Yes, but I find
not all the time.
No, but I find that is southern suburbs of Chicago. Like southern so much that they're almost not suburbs anymore. People from that area, for whatever reason, I noticed that a lot.
So Eric Brown, I learned using cheapo for tickets one time. I got screwed, so now I always book direct. Yeah, that it just takes that one time. It happened to me, and I'm like, oh, and that's what I did my research.
It's not a bad thing to like find the deal there, but then go talk to the actual company you would buy it from, and say, hey, I saw this. Are you guys able to match that, or whatever? So
Scorpio Sue asked, do the kids like being in the videos? Not anymore. When they were younger, they did. That's why you don't see Caleb in a lot of videos anymore, because he always like pouts and poops around. And Liam's starting to get into like he doesn't want to be in it, like they won't eat. But like Caleb will pop in sometimes, because it's weird. Caleb goes in phase. He'll be like, hey, let's do this. And I'm like, oh, you want to do a video? Okay. I'm like, let's do it. And like we let them, and like for make sure they're in the Christmas video. I'm like, you guys get to pick a day and come up with something, and they do. And so I'm like, hey, this is your thing.
Cool statues. That was Caleb's. 3 Yummy Foods was Liam's, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we have those. Yeah. Top 5 roughhousing video. Yeah. Kids fighting in historic locations
all over the world. How many countries can your kids wrestle in?
Yeah.
All of them. Like, that's the answer, isn't it? Except for those ones where they get really mad if you get mad at your kids. Because sometimes when my kids wrestle, after I've said no 35 times, I shout. And you get in trouble in some places for shouting. So, there's that.
Yes, I didn't even know it. Oh, hey, Billy. Good to see you. Oh, you're working today. Thanks for popping in, my friend. Hey. I appreciate it. Let's see.
Everybody's having a problem with the scene saw thing. I do too. I get it.
Yeah. Hi, Cadence. Hope you're doing well. Kankakee. Where'd you notice that? Yeah. Right up there in the middle in the river. So, other things. So, people that like we didn't get too many questions.
Hi, Cadence.
Yeah. I just
so
said
special.
So, I noticed, Cadence. I know. I was there for you first. Remember that. It's time to put us in a home. Remember, I remember to say hi first. So people were some other things we saw with the how travel is going to open up later on. It really will be a region by region. So you're going to have to really see where you're going to go and what they require and what they're going to do to make sure you are doing it. If it is having an app on your phone and tracking you, or if it's for contacts and stuff like that, is it being like voluntary quarantine, or you have to go to a specific place in quarantine? So there's those things.
And I have that list, and it's kind of a mix of both of those things, where you self quarantine or you quarantine in a government place. The overwhelming majority is like, these airports are closed. So and so airports are closed. This country is closed to tourists, and then some will say, except flights are coming in for repatriation. I can never say that word properly. Repatriation, whatever. I just can't. For that, or for like emergency landings and things like that. Those are, and they've got those. But then like all the EU ones are like, actually there are some in the EU that like US is still able to go to. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of reading, and it's pretty specific.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, people are pointing out that mine and mines. That annoys me too. Ask. Let's see. Gallant Gals, the Austria class. The Summer school starts the 18th of May, but since my class is going to be with Austria, it has to start with the Austrian calendar, how it was supposed to. So we'll start a week later. So instead of having 4 weeks to teach class, I have to do it 3 weeks. So it'll be 3 very intense weeks. So that's why we have our next live for patrons is the 22nd. Hold on, I think it's the 22nd. It's a Friday night. Because that's like the only time I'll have any free time, basically, until the 20. I think it's the 22nd. Oh, yeah. Well, it should be the 22nd. I don't know why it's not on here. So it should be May 22nd at 8 p.m. I'll put that in my thing.
So musings in life. It's nice being in a group of people who get it. I'm the only one of 8 kids who's like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark's whole family's like this. My family all would be if they could. I assume she means traveling like this, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We all like getting around. But we didn't do it a lot. Well, I guess my parents traveled a lot for work when we were younger. No, but anyway, so the May 22nd is when we on Friday at 8 p.m. Chicago times when we're going to have our next patron and patron feed only. Because then that Monday starts the online stuff, and so for the next 3 weeks I'll be doing live classes and videos and all kinds of stuff, and so it's got to get a 16-week class into 3 weeks. So you'll probably not hear much from me in that time period, or I might be so burned out I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here and chat. So who knows? We'll see. But I just want you to know, from probably not this coming week but the week after, I'll be a little bit less on, so Joss will be hopefully hooking you all up with some stuff.
Mr. Dan said, we've heard talk about restaurants, clothing, etc. Yeah, hi, how are you? Do you think there will be a wave of hotels closing, or will they get through? So
I think you'll see a wave of closing of everything.
I think there's going to be waves of everything closing, yes. But here's the shift that's happening right now in hotels in the U.S. The ones in the cities, some are getting some business from locals who are trying to just get away from their own house for a couple of days. But the ones that are like Havasu or the Grand Canyon or near Yellowstone or near Acadia, like things that are near outdoor things, like big wide open spaces, national state parks, things like that. Those things are actually getting more business than what they're used to. So that may just be that the dynamic changes. But some people own one hotel. Some groups own several hotels, whether they're under a certain management group or not. I think that's a thing. Like, if you have, how are you going to keep all of your hotels open when you only have enough to keep one running? That's going to be. My sister works for a company and they have several hotels in Florida. Like, I think 5 hotels. And I don't know that, I just wonder if they're going to be able to have 5 hotels operating, or are they going to be able to have 3 hotels operating, and they're in different cities. So it's a different sort of thing, but people who, I've talked too much about this. I'm sorry. I was off on a tangent.
Sorry, I'm sharing the Memphis video on Facebook and Twitter because I forgot to do that this morning. Because it's like, I thought it would get more views. But I think our channel is just toast.
What are the best countries to travel through by train?
Switzerland,
Italy,
Switzerland, Germany.
France.
Well, France has got a lot of flat stuff, so it's not as pretty looking out the window.
But it's
easy
to travel that way. It may not be the most beautiful thing to travel. Although, France is beautiful. It has beautiful regions, but there are flat bits that are just sort of
blasé. If you're on the
dull in
east places. Side, it's a little bit prettier.
Those would be my top ones too.
Let's see.
Spain isn't too bad, as far as getting between the big cities pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would put it on the list though, I guess.
Let's see. Heading to Nashville. Yeah, they do go a little bit faster than our high-speed trains here in the U.S. Which cracked me up. I'm like, oh, you mean it goes almost as fast as my car? So we are not doing the Halloween makeovers on their kids every day. Why not?
I should post some of those pictures. I used to paint Mark and Caleb's faces when I was on bed rest in Portugal.
Yeah.
They would come and I would paint their faces like Ben 10 characters.
Yes, that's another one. Scotland is great for train journeys because you have such great landscapes. So yeah, that's a good call there.
Yeah,
On
but
that
it's
one. Thank you.
Expensive, but it is beautiful.
Japan was cool on the train.
Yes.
The views were really pretty.
Yes.
China wasn't because the pollution, you couldn't see anything.
You couldn't see squat, but that was a lot of China.
I know. So we'll get back to Rome one day. We'll all get back there.
Don't watch the movie Train to Busan before doing so. Okay.
So Carmen's asked, has anyone been to New Zealand and been on the train? We have not been to New Zealand for the train there, but that's one of the things we're considering to do. That's what we hope to do. Like I'm wanting to see like what are things happening because we're looking at buying our tickets for later this year, and it's kind of like, well, is New Zealand going to be open? Because if it's going to be no, you have to have the 2-week quarantine. Like that's your vacation, and will the airline still let you push it back if you buy? I mean, I know they say that now. That's what I'm always worried about. So.
Yeah, Paris to Bayeux. I did a Rotterdam to Paris, Paris to Bayeux round trip. And then the Eurostar from Paris to London. Yeah, that's a good one right there. What are your thoughts on Amtrak?
Okay, if you're in the Northeast, it's relatively quick and efficient. If you're anywhere else in the country, there's a train, there's an Amtrak, the Cascades, it goes from Vancouver to Seattle to Portland. That's a beautiful ride, and they have a fantastic clam chowder on there, by the way. It's from a place in Seattle, which is famous for it. The name has escaped me right now, but it's really good. Like that's a good ride. But in general, it's slow. I know, like ours, when you're on there, you'll notice there's some seats you're not supposed to sit in because a lot of prisoners get sent back home and on the train. So do have a heads up for that. And people always take like extra seats, and it's just
the problem with Amtrak throughout much of the U.S. is
never on time.
That it's never on time, and here's why: Amtrak runs on. They don't necessarily own all their own rails, so there may be short line railroads that own 3 miles of this thing, and they get first priority. So you'll have to slow or stop or back up, and I mean, this country was built on cars. On roads and highways, not on public transport.
So Paul Tipton went on the Flying Scotsman, which is a cool train ride. 2 years ago, it went through a tunnel and the whole carriage filled with smoke and soot. That's kind of cool. Scary, but cool. Oh, dang it, just jumped again.
Something about our voices are 10 seconds behind.
So it depends. Well, that's on that one. But then Sue says audio's okay there. All right.
Might be an internet thing.
True. Let's see. Ivars. Yeah, that's the one, Thomas. That's the clam chowder you get in Seattle that they have on the train. And the thing is, it says it's only available in the afternoon trains. And my buddy and I had the morning train, but like at 9 o'clock in the morning, they had it ready, and I'm like, "Can we have that now?" He's like, "Heck yeah!" So we had a few, and we're like, "This is really good." And they had like the local, craft beers on there as well. Whereas ours is like you get Bud Light or Budweiser, Busch, or something like that. So it's like nice stuff.
Nick asks, have you guys ever considered doing a Northern Lights trip like to Lapland? So yes, the Northern Lights are one of the things on my bucket list. I don't have a huge bucket list, but and it's ever changing. But the Northern Lights are something I've always wanted to see. We just haven't been able to go.
Eric Brown cracked me up. Amtrak's like the Greyhound of trains. Yes, it is.
Greyhound bus of trains, but not Greyhound dog of trains.
Yeah.
So yes, we definitely want to get up there and see that. So it'll happen. Mark's done that. You've seen the Northern Lights, yeah?
Oh yeah. When I was living in Finland, they took us up. Finnish Independence Day is like December 6th, and so we were there in Lapland for the 6th. They took us out in the forest and said, "We've come to show you our fireworks." And so we were there, and they had like little fires around, and you look up and the Northern Lights were going. It was really cool.
Yeah. I always find, not always, but most of the time I find Amtrak to be dingy, like kind of like it's never been washed.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't go on there with the COVID. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like now that there's this cootie out there, I feel like they don't clean their stuff very well. So,
yeah. And I know they're saying that we're going to clean it more and things like that, which is nice. But I'm like, why? If you would have cleaned like this before, we want to travel more with it. But like their ridership's down like 94%. You know, so
I don't know how they'll make it. Quite frankly, I mean, maybe in the Northeast, but
the privatized parts. Yes. Let's see. Gallivanting, yes, we were doing Ireland and Scotland first, and then on to Norway, Finland, Sweden, Denmark. We made it to Scotland and had to come home. Yeah, you guys had an awesome trip going on there too. Yeah, so there is a South Land and Northern Lapland, and you do get to drink reindeer blood. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of funny. Oh yes, Gallivanting Gals. We just saw a glimmer from the plane over Greenland on the way to Iceland.
Oh, that's cool.
So some of the flights you'll come back from Europe will actually go over that tip of Greenland, and you're like, and when it's a clear day, you'll see the glaciers on there. It's really, really cool. Yeah, Carmen's saying Amtrak is cleaning now.
I'm sure they are.
Tom's got his lunch ready. Have a great weekend. You too, Tom. We're probably going to hop off here in about 10 minutes. So you guys get your questions in so we can get some more fun stuff in, some more answers in so we can get started. Answering those. Is Amtrak getting a bailout? I don't know.
I wonder if I would hope that they would. I mean, I don't. But then sometimes I feel like we could survive without Amtrak, but there are some places where you really do need it.
Yeah, there's people that really do need Amtrak.
Yeah.
So Fierce Mice makes a good point. For Northern Lights, I don't recommend making that your purpose. They are so variable. You may see them or not on any given trip. There are forecasts available to tell when peak activity will be. And that's one of the things. And it's in short spurts for it. That's why, like, when we did and saw it, they were like, oh, we have to go out. Because we were in Lapland on a ski thing. And we had 4 nights there. And they're like, we're going tonight for this. And now I understand why. Because it was actually a clear night. That's why, because Johnson, we want to go back to Iceland and hopefully see them like in the winter.
Where I've seen the Northern Lights once, but it's still pretty faint. Not like seeing it that far up north. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what the Gallivanting guys saw. It wasn't the Greenland thing they saw. That was the Northern Lights they saw when they were flying over Greenland. Mm-hmm. That's true. I have seen those before too. Yeah, because I was flying over and the captain's like, everyone, look out the left side of the plane. You'll see the Northern Lights. Or no, the right side of the plane. So I guess I was coming back home.
Have you been any place that you've been that you thought, wow, this is not family friendly?
Vegas.
No, was it Montreal?
Montreal, yeah.
Where we ran into like prostitutes with our kids on it was obvious to us.
It wasn't really not to them. The pros and the prostitute stuff. It was more the dope smoking everywhere. Like there's people are smoking up at the pool at the hotel. I know it's legal there, but I'm like, people. No one will smoke a cigarette anywhere near a kid, but they're like puffing away.
They'll smoke pot like 2 inches from your kid. That was maybe. I don't know. I feel like there was somewhere we were in Europe recently, and I was like, don't need to bring the kids back here. I mean, it's kind of like when you have little kids and you wander into the red light district in Amsterdam, and you have to explain to your kids. It's like when we ran into the prostitutes on the elevator, and Caleb
was that
in Montreal.
That was in Toronto. That was Toronto.
Was Toronto?
Yeah, because they were visiting some sports athletes.
Yeah, but
they were very nice. The ladies were very nice.
No, actually, the women were. It was the men that made it uncomfortable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But anyway, but our kids, we've had to have those conversations with our kids. Like pot and prostitutes and things like when it's you're in the red light district and your kid's 3 and your kid's like, Mom, why is that lady undressing in her window?
I remember that.
Why is she in her underwear in front of her window? And I was like, oh well, so I mean, you just have to be honest and explain it in a way that the kids can understand. But we've had a lot of those conversations, kind of like if y'all were here for that thing about Daddy gave the sperm.
Yeah, he was on top of that one. You didn't do anything. He gave the sperm. We all started dying laughing. A few people sent us some things on Instagram about that.
Oh, yeah. It was, my gosh, that was so funny. Anyway.
So, Baggy TS, have you had any problems on rearranging trips with airlines due to COVID? No, we've gotten, they've all done straight e-credit first, but some of them have been canceled. I'm like, hey, I would like to get the cash back on this one because we have so many flights. We know we're going to get move back. I don't see the value. I mean, yes, there's value in having the credit because you use it later. But it was like I'd rather have the cash pay bills than have the e-credit. But now we have that, so now everything now is just going to e-credit. So that's been okay. Actually, some of the places we didn't have it, like we had a guide. This was before COVID, but yeah, we had to cancel a trip, and he's like, "Look, if I can't get somebody to make this up, I'm keeping all your money." So we didn't even get anything back. And he's like, "Well, if you come back," the thing was like, "Oh, if you come back and I might give you a discount." I'm like, that might means you're not, and so we'll have to pay twice." I was a little upset. I understood the reasoning why, but like.
But if we're coming back, and if we came back, I think that he could.
Well, he theoretically said he would, but who knows?
It was more like
it could have been like $5 off if I want. I mean, so
yeah.
But that was like a few grand gone.
Dope smoking is as close as South Neal Street. I don't mind the pot smoking. What I mind is the pot smoking, like standing right next to my kid, because you wouldn't stand next to a kid and blow cigarette smoke at their face, but you would stand and blow pot smoke. I mean, smoke is smoke, right? Like, it's, I don't know, that bothers me, you know? So I just don't think you should smoke in front of like kids, like right at them. That's, you know, because that's pretty much what, but you don't see that in Amsterdam. Like, we're in Amsterdam, you can smell the pot everywhere, but nobody's like standing right next to you, walking down the street smoking a joint and blowing the cigarette or the
well, you're not even supposed to do that in the US. I mean, it was funny because some places it just gets overwhelming.
Well,
like
and it was certain neighborhoods
Seattle it got overwhelming
others,
everywhere.
You know?
It really was at 420. It just started getting really, really smoky.
That's so funny.
Anyway,
I do like KLM too. They're one of Delta's code shares, and we really enjoy hanging out with them. So
Carmen's asked, should I pick Vienna, Austria, New Zealand, or Scotland? Okay, Vienna is good for a long weekend, but if you're going for a longer trip, New Zealand or Scotland, because they're both, it's majestic nature for both of those. If you want to see the historic buildings too, then you want to go to Scotland to go with the historic stuff. If you want the really long flight, then there's New Zealand, but it's gorgeous there. Mark Finley, I'm going to have that conversation with Delta the next week. There will be my second reschedule, so it may not be cut and dry. Yeah, that's where you're going to start seeing issues is when that second, because they always say, oh, your first one's free, but this thing's still going on. It's going to be, I mean, that's going to be, Mark, let us know how it works. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that means either. What's a Monroe, Jennifer? Is that a Scottish thing?
Hey, Nick, you out of here? I guess. Tom likes being American. Flies right out of here. Anyway.
Hang on, I just want to. What's a Monroe?
Well, I have no idea.
Dagnabbit!
Stop breaking your phone. Let me use my phone that isn't broker's.
It's not that my thing is. Delta, citing health concerns, drops service to 10 U.S. airports. Is yours on the list?
Well, look and see.
Oh, shit. Oh, it's cutting service at 10, not to 10. Misleading headline.
Clickbait. Always get you.
Oh, it's cutting service at 10. Praise God, it's not to 10.
Well, I'm sure they will.
Oh, okay. So no longer can Delta customers use Hollywood, Burbank, and Long Beach in Southern California, but LAX will continue. Chicago Midway's out, but O'Hare remains in. Okay, so
we used to take some Midway flights from them.
I do like some Midway flights, but well, that just gave me a small little heart attack. But those make sense when you've got two airports, and you can cut one, and you know, which was a small one anyway.
So Carmen, American Airlines seats are too small for my big American butt. Yes, that is why I don't like American either. It just feels like it's like I'm flying on Spirit. Or Ryanair, where it's like smash everybody in, and I mean their flight attendants actually protested because they were taking out more rows to put in, like put another row in to smush everybody up closer and making an even smaller space for their work, and they were actually not going to work. So like, I'm not flying in this plane because there's nowhere to work. I mean that tells you something. The workers are like, look, we we're getting screwed so bad that we're not going to fly because it's unsafe and it's unstuff. So there's
a lot. A Monroe is a hill above 3,000 feet. Oh, then yes. We've done that.
So, Nick Barnett, have you ever flown an airline that shot you how bad it was? Allegiant, how dirty it was. That was just
not just filthy. On top of the fact that it was filthy, and the flight attendants looked. I mean, they looked like they literally rolled out of bed. It was just so unprofessional. But they charge you for everything except the air you're breathing. I mean, they practically charge you to buckle your seatbelt. It's just, it's a really cheap thing, but you can't have a purse and a bag. You have to put your purse into your carry-on. Your carry-on has to be smaller than every other airline's carry-on. I mean, there's just, and they're rude. I didn't feel safe on their airplanes. If you can't vacuum your airplane, if you don't care enough to put on a clean shirt as a flight attendant, somehow I feel like you don't really care about the safety either. All of the trashy things about it told me that they don't really take care of anything, right? So
it means that Gallivanting Gals are going to go see Trace's mom. That's awesome.
That's good. So glad you're getting to be able to do that. That's huge. I miss our parents.
So, yeah. Favorite foods in Hawaiian Islands? I have not been. I wish I would. Habit Master. Good to see you on here too, by the way, Habit Master.
That's interesting. Gallivanting Gals, did you know that Southwest will let you buy an extra seat and then refund it in total after the flight if you're a customer of size? I do it all the time. That's brilliant. That's a really good thing.
Because my thing is when you find the seats that have the hard middle rail, whatever the thing's called, armrest. Those are the ones you're like, oh. And then if you sit in first class to some airlines, they have the little mini airbag things on there, and you can't do an extender on that. They'll actually kick you out of first class for that, and you will not get your money back. So you'll get kicked back to economy where they can give you an extender, which a few Asian airlines have done to some travelers. Let's see. Oh, heading out. Bye means to travel. Have fun.
See you.
Hopefully see you a little bit tomorrow.
Oh, man. MGH says, Iran Air. Most planes are 40 years old because of international sanctions. AC was dead and the plane was boiling hot. Oh, that's not cool.
Oh, Jennifer Benzie, your guys' Christmas video inspired me to write another song in lockdown. Share it with us so we can hear it.
Yes, share it somehow with us, please.
Yes, the Airbus A220 is good for fluffier travelers because there's a little more space in those seats.
Yep.
Yeah, no, Allegiant just. My sister-in-law, because there's a direct flight from where she lives in Tampa to where we live, and so she flies all the time. My mother-in-law will fly that as well.
Can we stop the game?
Sorry. But I'm like, nope, I will pay the extra and go Delta via Atlanta because I just, no.
Brigadier.
So
we'll play ball in a little bit, okay? Yeah. I've flown air tie and they spray the cabin inside. So pretty much everybody's implementing either electrostatic spray or UV light. Almost every single plane in the U.S. is being somehow disinfected at the end of a day. Anytime international flights are in place over 4 hours or something, they get either electrostatic or UV stuff. Although most of the UV things that I've been reading, it seems they're doing those mostly on overnight or overnight when the plane is grounded. So there's a lot, that's going on for that. So by means to travel.
So Jennifer, just share it on the Facebook group so we can all enjoy it there.
Good.
So our next live feed that we're going to have for members only is Friday, May 22nd at 8 p.m. Chicago time. So we'll be there for that. We will still have our Whiskey Wednesday so we can all chat that way. We'll also see everybody on the Facebook group and on Patreon and all that stuff. So there are those things there.
The Habit Master. How was Thursday morning after Whiskey Wednesday? You guys have been having fun.
It was a little tough this week.
I think it was tougher for you than it was for me.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
But also we stayed up. We were exhausted. This is what happens is I'm exhausted and I go and I get in bed and then we sit and we talk and then the tired goes away, and then we end up talking until like 1 a.m. And
I know
that's been happening a lot. Like just since this has been, like since we've been on quarantine.
Bye, Derek and Liz.
So.
I think, Nick, those A380s where it's like you're on a cruise ship, you don't even notice you're flying. Musing at midlife. So is it just me, or am I thinking, why haven't planes been disinfecting like this all along? That's my whole thing. Why weren't the planes getting clean before? Like that's one thing. It's kind of like, ooh, gross. Like this is our new measures, and you're like, wait, if your new measure are things I think should have happened already, that's kind of weird. Okay, our dog's going crazy. He wants to go out. We're gonna have to take off now. We want to say thank you to everybody. Thanks for staying for our 2-hour Patreon and member live feed. I'm glad we could do this and get to strengthen our friendship between everybody. Please feel free to share our videos on Facebook and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So I've actually started making some shorter versions of our don'ts videos and shock videos to put on Facebook. So it's only like 3 to 5 minutes long instead of the 15, just to be more Facebook friendly. So,
thanks for the Mother's Day wishes.
And then happy birthday to all the mothers out there.
Happy birthday to the mothers.
Yes, to all the mothers.
We're all born tomorrow.
That's right. Happy Mother's Day. Yes, exactly. Okay, break. You
Jennifer, write me that on the Facebook group because I'm not quite sure I know what you mean by feta parcel.
Using it, I'm glad that we can help inspire.
I'm glad to see all of you.
Terry, I'm sorry you have a headache. It sucks, the sinus headaches. Okay, break.
I've been having a lot of those lately.
Dog smells like dog. He's not even wet.
It's the breath. It's the breath. All right.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye. Have a great weekend. Happy Mother's Day.
Bye.